Present.
Harris, present. Hightower. Ludwig.
Present.
Souter, present. Sharma.
Present.
Simmons. Hedrick.
Present. Quorum has been established. Dr. Hightower notified me this morning that he is ill. Not be participating today. He hopes to participate tomorrow. And Trustee Simmons is out of camp. So we have Trustee Sharma, who is in California, pending a family emergency. So pursuant to the board's bylaws, Trustee Sharma notified the board secretary he is unable to attend the meeting in person due to family emergency. He's permitted to participate by video or audio conference if the member is physically present. Both will allow him to do so. Is there a motion to allow Trustee Sharma to join February 7th and 8th, 2024 board meeting by Zoom? Second. Moved and seconded. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Welcome, Dr. Sharma.
Thank you.
There will be public questions and comments portion available at today's meeting. Last up to 15 minutes, 3 minutes per speaker. Madam Secretary, do we have any speakers today?
Yep.
Okay, the first item is the presentation by SIU Vice President Kupchak. Will you introduce this item?
Thank you, Chair Gilbert. Today, the School of Nursing at SIU will be presenting, and I'm pleased to welcome and introduce Dr. Angela Andrews, who with her students, Adrian Carroll and Mary Gomez, will be presenting on increasing nursing workforce diversity and readiness to participate, utilizing an innovative 4R approach. Dr. Andrews is the Assistant Dean of Undergraduate Programs in the School of Nursing at SIU. She received both a bachelor's and master's degrees from the SIU School of Nursing and her PhD from the University of Missouri, Kansas City, with a research focus on nursing education and promoting healthy behaviors. Dr. Andrews has taught at SIU for the past 12 years and recently achieved the SIU Teaching Distinction Award in 2023, as well as the Illinois Nurses Foundation 40 Under 40 Emerging Nurse Leaders Award. Dr. Andrews, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that introduction. Good afternoon. I'm excited to be here today to share with you a program grant myself and 5 additional nursing faculty have received. In addition, I have with me 2 of our nursing students that are graduating in May, Mary and Adrian, who are also going to describe some research experience they've had in our undergraduate program and how they have helped with this grant. Next slide, please. And there are our team members. Next slide, please. So currently, there is a national workforce shortage of nurses of around 1 million nurses nationally. Not only do we have a shortage of nurses, but we also have a shortage of diverse nurses where the nursing population does not match the population that we're serving, therefore leading to further health inequities and health disparities. So it's critical when we talk about our project that we look at ways that we're intentionally trying to recruit diverse nurses so we do not continue to increase the gap from our population and our nursing workforce. It is also crucial whenever you have a shortage of a workforce that we're also making sure that students leave our program ready to practice. So we applied and were awarded a grant in October of 2022 of over $1 million. The 4R acronym that is kind of our title that guides our practice is listed here on the slide. So we're recruiting diverse nursing students, we're retaining our nursing students, and we're making necessary revisions to make sure that our nurses that leave our SIU School of Nursing program are ready to practice and ready to impact health outcomes. I will now hand it over to Mary and Adrian for them to describe their process.
Hi, my name is Adrian Carroll, and I'm a senior nursing student graduating in May. I'm also part of the Honors College and a Meridian Scholar. My freshman year, I was very eager to begin learning all I could about the nursing profession, yet I had not yet achieved a high enough level of schooling to begin working in the hospital. When I heard about an opportunity to conduct research with nursing faculty, I was eager to apply. Luckily, Dr. Andrews accepted me as her undergraduate research and creative activities, also known as IRCA, assistant, and I've since then worked with her for 3.5 years. I'm very excited to share with you all today some of the exciting things that we have accomplished. A little bit about the IRCA program is that it offers undergraduate students an opportunity to participate in both research and creative activities, regardless of what discipline they're from. This is something we typically would not have the opportunity to do unless we were in grad school. I personally plan to go to grad school and recognize that IRCA will not only help my application stand out to these schools, but also assist me conducting my own research one day. IRCA students get to learn about all aspects of the research process, from data collection to dissemination of findings. During my time with Dr. Andrews, I have got to disseminate data and have my name on a poster presentation, which is shown here on the slide, that was over sleep health in nursing students, and I'm about to have my name on a soon-to-be published research article. I now feel confident that I would be equipped to carry out my own research in order to impact patients at the hospital I'm going to work at. I have also conducted research on underrepresented nursing students and teaching nursing students social determinants of health and cultural competence. To me, it feels that our HRSA grant has given us the tools to implement all the things that Dr. Andrews and I have spent the past 3 years researching. It makes me feel very proud to be contributing not only to my own education, but also the education of all the future nurses to walk through SIU. Mary has also had this opportunity, and I'm going to let her share now some of her experiences.
Hi, everybody. I am Mary Gomez. I am an IRCA assistant, part of the Honors College, and a senior nursing student who's graduating this spring as well. Through my time in this program and with Dr. Reed, I've been able to, I've been with her for about 1.5 years now through this program. My understanding of research has just broadened tenfold. This experience has allowed me to get new insight into things like critical thinking, project management, and data analysis, all things that I would not have had without this experience. With Dr. Reed, I've had the opportunity to see how this HRSA grant has contributed to meaningful contributions to our nursing curriculum. In my time as an assistant, I participated in research also regarding the social determinants of health, how to better implement it into our curriculum. We are currently in the process of piloting an interdisciplinary study regarding poverty care. And through this process, I've had the opportunity to work with social work as well as SIU School of Dental Medicine to create this collaboration. This process has enlightened me on the benefits and merits of collaborative efforts, something that is a very important practice for nurses going on. Crafting the simulation serves as just one example of the positive influence brought about by the HRSA grant within our program. I'm eagerly anticipating the lasting effects it'll have on our future students as a current student myself.
One aspect of the HRSA grant that I have got to participate in has been the recruitment phase. Currently, there's a great deal of evidence that shows that unless a student personally knows a nurse, they have to rely on media to inform their decisions about pursuing a nursing career. Through recruitment efforts, we aim to provide information on the roles of nurse, as well as dismantle misconceptions about our profession. The grant team has developed collaborations with 12 local schools to conduct recruitment efforts. As an IRCA assistant, I completed a literature review in order to discover what perceptions high schoolers had on the nursing profession. Many high schoolers have limited knowledge to what nurses truly do and where our jobs and education can take us. For example, many high schoolers believe that nursing is a female-only profession, which is not true, or others only knew that we bathed people. So knowledge through this evidence, as well as recruitment toolkits that we received from the American Association of College of Nursing, guided the format for our high school visits. Additionally, I have been involved in the recruitment process by attending on-campus School of Nursing recruitment events. During these events, I typically participate in Q&A sessions where I talk about not only my experience as a nursing student, but also my experience in nursing research. Additionally, I've also helped attend our pre-nursing orientation sessions in order to help with recruitment with retainment of nursing students. I'd also like to share with you all one of the stories that I have from the School of Nursing on-campus events. At the end of the Q&A session, I was able to stay back and speak with a mother and her daughter about nursing profession. The daughter had some apprehensions about doing nursing as a career because she knew how difficult it was and she was worried that she wouldn't succeed. I was able to talk with her about how SIU would be able to help her through her difficult classes and my own personal experiences as to how I got through them. Additionally, we were able to bond over all the really cool things that she'd get to do if she chose SIU as her school. Ultimately, I feel like it's these types of conversations that make SIU stick out in the minds of parents and students who are looking to come to college. Next slide, please.
It is really hard to fathom that as I describe a nursing shortage, that there are a great deal of individuals who want to be a nurse, but are either not admitted into nursing programs or do not complete nursing programs. So some of our efforts in our grant, through our Student Nurse Achievement Program, the grant is supporting an advisor coordinator and a mentorship program that are aiming to provide tutoring, mentoring, intrusive advising, and support needed for diverse nursing students. We've also collaborated here on the SIU campus with the College of Arts and Science for a peer-led team learning model. This is where there's a large class. Human biology is actually the course that we've identified and are implementing this model. There's a large class with the faculty, but then there's also small sections where a peer that's been successful in this course are leading scheduled learning sessions. We started this in the fall of 2023. And we've been collecting DFW rates, which are looking at either a grade of a D, F, or a withdrawal from a course. Pre-implementation, these rates were 40% after the first semester. We saw it decline to 28%, and we're continuing to improve the process to continue to see those numbers improve. Next slide, please.
So for the next R, we have readiness. So as ARCA assistants, Adrian and I have aided Dr. Reed and Dr. Andrews in creating and analyzing data from surveys that we're looking to assess readiness to practice in our new graduate students. We've had enhancements in our relationships with our clinical agency partners by soliciting feedback about our current curriculum, as well as how prepared our new graduates were entering the workforce. In addition, graduating nursing students are also able to provide their personal feedback as to how prepared they feel being in the school. One example of gap identification noted by both our agency partners and our students was comfort levels performing CPR and during codes. In response to this feedback, we developed a code simulation in our simulation center. The next day, we actually had 2 students report having to perform a code in clinical, and they stated that the experience gained through the simulation led to confidence and positive outcomes on their ends. In addition to that, we've compiled data from surveys, standardized exams, and our agency partners to create a final exit simulation. We identified these gaps in their orientation competencies and most important areas that our students needed to enhance their readiness to practice. A pilot simulation targeting these identified gaps was delivered in December of 2023, and the students were very appreciative of a tailored experience that encouraged them to practice areas that they were able to know there's needed improvement. Next slide.
Another aspect that I got to assist with through our grant has been the preceptorship program. A little bit about nursing school is that each semester we must attend clinicals, which is where we go into the hospital setting in order to begin practicing nursing skills and taking care of real patients. During our last semester of nursing school, the time in the hospital increases as we try to best prepare our students for life after graduation. SIU is now offering students the opportunity to participate in a preceptorship program through resources from the 4R grant, where they work one-on-one with a nurse at a local clinical agency to strengthen their abilities before graduation. For SIU, we have strengthened our relationships with more nearby hospitals and are providing our students with more experiential learning opportunities. In the fall of 2023, whenever we began this, we had 15 students at 2 agencies. We now have 32 students at 9 agencies as of spring, and these students are going to hospitals including BJC, HHS, SSM, and Memorial Health. The advantage of the offering a preceptorship program is that precepted students actually receive one-on-one instruction with a nurse instead of in a traditional clinical setting where there would be one clinical faculty spread amongst 8 nursing students. Many nursing skills, such as giving medications and starting IVs, cannot be done unless there is a nurse present. Through the preceptorship program, precepted students essentially receive 8 times the amount of opportunity to perform these skills because they have a nurse alongside them at all times who doesn't have to divide up his or her time amongst these students. Students who have participated in this program have expressed how much it really allowed them to gain confidence before graduation. It allowed them to build deep, trusting relationships with their preceptors because they're working together all hours of the day, every clinical week. Doing this allowed them to create a relationship that fostered a better learning environment where students have the confidence to ask questions and try new things with confidence. I am actually currently participating in this preceptorship program, and I work with 2 nurses, Chris and Braley, at St. Luke's Hospital in their medical ICU. One of my preceptors, Braley, is actually an SIU alumni. I've also accepted a position at the ICU as a nurse after graduation. Any student who's like me and accepts a position at the clinical facility after graduation actually gets paid for all their hours. For me, taking care of clients who are critically ill and keeping them alive can be very intimidating as a nursing student and a hard specialty to go into after graduation for a new nurse. With Chris and Braley by my side, all of the anxieties and fears start to slowly go away because I know that I'm capable of taking on new challenges with them. There's no one else that I would want next to me supporting me and guiding me during critical situations in there. And because of this, I have been able to push myself to try new things and learn all I can before I graduate.
Next slide. We thank you for listening to our presentation. We've highlighted a lot of the ways that we're collaborating with around 12 local school districts for recruitment. We've highlighted some of the agency partners we're working with to produce practice-ready nurses. So what questions do you have for us?
One question I would have, you mentioned one of your high DFW classes. That's just the one course that you're piloting that on, or is that expected to expand to other courses?
That's a great question. So we identified the human biology course for the PLTL for our grant because it had one of the higher DFW. So it was what we identified as a barrier for nursing school admission. So with this positive data, though, the plan would be looking at other opportunities. Absolutely. Thank you.
So that similar, that peer led team model that you're talking about, how similar is that to like some programs that you have?
Yes, that's a great question. So the differences between supplemental instruction and PLTL, the supplemental instruction varies a little bit differently with courses, but the PLTL, what made it different in our scenario was that it's scheduled class time. It's scheduled as part of their class time. So the attendance is there, and it's also linked to an activity linked to evaluation methods. So I would say one big difference is that aspect. The other difference is that the activities that occur in the peer-led sessions are in collaboration with the faculty teaching those courses.
Follow up to that, do you think that this model would be in other classes, or do you think that it's kind of?
That's also a great question. It's currently being utilized in our chemistry, in some of the chemistry courses. We identified human biology just because of our prereqs. There's a lot of evidence to support its utilization in science classes.
Any other questions? I have a couple of questions. My old age, I'm a true believer that nursing are as not more important than doctors, because most of the time you go to the facility or contact with nurses. How many students, nursing students, do we have?
That's a great question. If we're looking at our undergrad at SIU, we're looking at around 1,100.
What in terms of recruiting for the first students that's in nursing? Where you?
So That's also a great question. So, as part of the application for this grant, when we were identifying, how we would go about recruiting diverse nurses, the Health and Research Service Administration, or the HRSA that we were referring to, they actually have an index scale that they use where we could look at the population of the high schools and determine high schools that would have the highest impact to recruit diverse students. So that's kind of where we've been spending our efforts.
Community colleges, they try to students from community colleges.
That is a great question. For the purpose of this grant, they were focused on kind of like a first-time freshman. But we do in the School of Nursing have collaborations with college, community colleges for our RNDS program. It's a great question.
Any other questions? There's the expert right there.
Congratulations to you. Very impressive. Fine.
I would say, what we're looking at is that it's more, and a big focus of this grant is, that there are students applying for the university, but it's success through prerequisite courses. Really what we're focusing on. Yes, that's been our trend for the last several years, yes. Great question. Our 2023 NCLEX pass rate was 91%.
That's residue, that's just,
Yes, the national average was around 87% this past 2023 year, yes.
The question and answer section you were talking about, and I apologize if you said this. Are you going out to the high schools that you identify, or is this a Q&A session that they have to come to you?
So I can start answering it, but we can also let Adrian finish. We are actually doing high school visits, so we're going out into the high school. We actually even purchased some simulation equipment where we're able to take, like we had a picture on one of the slides where we have a toddler mannequin that we take where the high school students, they get so excited they can put on stethoscopes and listen to heart rates, and we can teach them just a little bit, give them kind of a taste of nursing. But what Adrian was referring to was we also have been meeting with some of our pre-nursing or freshman level students and having sessions, but also through some of our university recruitment events like preview days, explore days, is where she's been able to have some contact with prospective students. And we typically always invite our students to participate in any of our recruitment events on campus. We always say that really the students and or prospective students and family like to hear from their experience through the program. So that was what Adrian was referring to.
When you do those high school visits, are you taking current, because I think that's fantastic that they can engage current students. When you do the high school visits, are you taking current students as well, or is that kind of just on campus?
Some we do and some we don't. It kind of depends on scheduling. Sometimes if they want us to come in a short notice, maybe not, but if we have further notice, we can get students scheduled. All great questions.
You talked about 1,100 students in the program. How many graduate?
So the 1,100 I provided was including the RN to BS program as well. So in our undergrad program, we have a traditional, and then we have the RN to BS, but we're usually the traditional undergrad students that are not already nurses. We're usually graduating about 250 a year if we look at our fall and spring semesters combined. And our graduate, we're around 450.
The other question, well, this is wonderful. It's what you're doing. Nurses will avoid finishing shorts and nurses, I guess. That will be, but this is very impressive. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Next, is a discussion of tuition and fees. President Mahoney, will you introduce this item?
And just a reminder, what we're talking about today just is to give you a little information on both campuses and where we're at, tuition fees, how we compare to others. We're not presenting any proposals today on any changes in tuition and fees. This is just a kind of more of an informational session for the board, so I'll turn it over to Chancellor Minor for cover SIU.
Thank you, President Mahoney. Good afternoon, everyone. In a very brief presentation, will just cover where we are in the state of Illinois. There's a couple of slides there with a national comparison with student loan debt. But generally speaking, this is just a benchmark where we are with respect to tuition and fees. So before I start, next slide, please. I want to just cover a couple of contextual factors. We have all heard about the change in demographics, the fact that there are going to be fewer and fewer high school students graduating, which will intensify the competition. But I want to make clear here that the changing demographics is not just about the number of students. I have made the case, and we're seeing it on our enrollment management team, that this cohort of students are also more digital, meaning that the engagement is likely to be more digital than it has been in previous years. They're applying to more institutions. We're seeing the number of applications received by institutions go up all across the country. It used to be a very good barometer of how many students would actually enroll, and now not so much. With the introduction of the common application, students are applying to as many as a dozen institutions, and they're being accepted to more institutions in any given year. For a lot of the students that are arriving at campus, I like to use a terminology when I was a college student, college was my life. Today, for a growing number of students, college is a part of their life. And that's a very different circumstance. The other thing that I'll mention just quickly by way of demographics or sort of characteristics of incoming cohorts is the allegiance to a particular institution is also different. And I think we have many more students who are looking for what we call perceived fit. So as I share this, you'll see why these characteristics are important in the presentation. On competition, certainly as the number of eligible students goes down, the competition goes up. That's no question. The other thing is institutions are now starting to compete with scholarship dollars. And the easiest way to describe this is even as recent as 5 years ago, an affluent family would show up here to SIU and ask, where do I pay? Today, that same family will arrive and go, well, what are you all offering? Because my student has 8 other offers, and many of them include scholarship offers. And that is a part of the competition in terms of pricing and reducing price. The new expectations element here is really with respect to engagement, institutional aid, scholarships, and the timeliness for our ability to package aid and get it to a student are all a part of the change in environment and landscape. Next slide. Having said all of that, SIUE is still providing tremendous value with respect to accessibility and affordability. Nearly a third of our students are Pell eligible, and most of you know that this is a quick and easy proxy for low-income families. I saw a story in the Chronicle 2 weeks ago. I think the average household income for students who are receiving the maximum Pell Award is roughly $30,000, somewhere between $30,000 and $40,000. So you think about that, a third of our students are coming from low-income households. Nearly half of our students are graduating without debt. This is a major point of pride for us and a statistic that we like to keep track of. And when you look at the students who are graduating with student loan debt, it is less than the national average and less than the average in the state of Illinois. Next slide, please. This is just a quick view of the type of aid that is available to students. On the left, you'll see need-based aid programs, federal Pell Grant, MAP, AIM High. We recently announced changes to the SIUE commitment, and we recently launched SIUE Go, which stands for Gateway Opportunity. I'm getting used to saying this. This is a commitment similar to the SIUE commitment that is now available for students on the other side of the river in Illinois. We have neighboring counties that are within 20, 30 minutes of campus who are now able to access SIUE. Merit-based scholarships are award programs that we offer here on campus to students based on academic merit. Next slide. This is just a look for FY24 undergraduate tuition, general fees, and then room and board. Sometimes it's nice to break this out. When the variation of who's paying what, it's not always the total cost there. I do want to point out, just in fairness, that we do have a very small population on campus that does pay the health insurance fee that you see noted there on the bottom. The overwhelming majority of our students have been exempted because they are covered with a health insurance plan from their family, for example. So today, this is what SIUE looks like in terms of tuition fees and room and board. Next slide. You'll see what this looks like in comparison to the other institutions, public institutions in the state of Illinois. We like to break the institutions out in these two Carnegie classification categories. The top list, the top grouping, I should say, of institutions offer doctoral degrees. You'll see where we are. And if you look, in the very last column, the dash obviously is SIUE. But if you look below it, I mean, part of me would argue that that is de minimis, right? It's not a true, that $464 is not a decision maker for a lot of students. And even when you compare to, if you look at the top of that list, $3,000, $2,500, even $1,700 might be. The second grouping of institutions are master's institutions. And the reason these categories matter is that they're a rough proxy for the cost of instruction. So for institutions offering doctoral programs across the university, you'd expect that the cost of instruction to be greater than institutions that are not delivering doctoral programs or degrees. The second grouping of institutions are master's institutions. And if you just put SIUE in that list, you'll see that we're ranked at or below a lot of institutions that are not offering doctoral programs. And again, if your eyes go from the dash down, not a big difference. If your eyes go from the dash up, it sort of tells the story about where our tuition and fees rank across the state. Next slide. This is the same group of institutions. We've removed the Carnegie classifications. It's just a rank order list for room and board. My guess is that maybe all of the institutions on that list would argue about deferred maintenance and aging buildings and the cost of keeping up. Our housing and dining folks on this campus point this out to me quite frequently, but not surprising because I think we've held that position for quite some time across the state. Next slide. So as President Mahoney mentioned, we don't have a proposal today. It is just an opportunity to remind the board of where we are. I think we have tried our best to hold the line with respect to both accessibility and affordability, while also trying to pay attention to what's required to continue to deliver high quality instruction. When you see these nursing students who are here, I want to make sure that the next generation of students have the same opportunity. So it is a balance, and we will continue to keep an eye on the adjustments we need to make institutionally. Thank you.
Any questions of Chancellor Minor?
I know you listed in order of cost and stuff. And I look at the U of I in Chicago, look where the campus is, accessibility, safety, all the other issues we have here compared to campus like that, so we have a lot of costs.
What's our percentage of students in campus housing at the site? Sorry, the percentage of students in campus housing at the site. So I may calculate. I know we've got a roughly 300 or 3,300 beds on campus. So 13,000 students, you'll get the percentage there, roughly 10,000 undergraduates. So it's a smaller percentage. We're well under half students who actually go on campus. So when you're looking at the list in terms of tuition fees, room and board, a great percentage of those students are either paying rent in the open market, and because the majority of our students are from the region, many of them are still up or at different housing arrangements.
All right, thank you. You know, it makes it really easy as we look around our region, talking about the cost of higher education, piggyback what James said. It's refreshing to be able to talk about accessibility and ability. Our presentation is we'll go to the next slide. This, I want to give you an historical look at where we've been over the last few years. As you can see, we had one bump in fiscal year 2019, but pretty much held the line to 2024. Tuition 9,658. Our fees, we have a bump in you can see where that bump occurred in not only in 2019, but again in 2023, 2022 to 2023, which puts us at about 13,244 tuition fees altogether. This year, we expect about a $3.1 million increase over 2023 due to the increased enrollment fall spring. So that put us in a pretty good position. It also tells us that, you know, at least for now, we're doing some things that's making it a little easier for students to be able to access the institution. Wanted to give you a snapshot of the appropriations from 2018 all the way through to 2024. 6.7 billion. So all of those things help and allow us to do some creative things. 70% of our students are opting out of the student health insurance. Before, we would show students where our costs, where we would put that in there, we would kill them off. So we wanted to break it down a lot to give them a sense of, you know, they have insurance and you don't need to take it out. Their costs become manageable. So wanted to definitely point that out, and that's what we do for students. Next slide. This is a slide that we essentially start with when we meet with students to give them a full list of what it's going to cost. And you saw the tuition fees. If you look at the room and board, by federal law, we require you've got to take the double occupancy, single occupancy, you've got to show that number. That's why you see the 12,000 a minute. When I show you the next slide, it's going to be 10,602 because that's a double occupancy. Most students will select campus, but that gives you an idea. It really gives the parents a really good idea and the students. If you're going to be on campus, if you're going to be off campus, or you're going to be with parents. When we start to calculate, sometimes our students are living in Carbondale or Marion, surrounding areas. It really becomes, I don't want to say as if speaking family income. It becomes manageable when you start thinking about staying at home to start tuition fees without doing. That is something that we talk to our students about. Next slide. I mentioned earlier about the double occupancy rate. You can see it there. We've held the line on the room and board costs at 10,622 for the last several years. And like Chancellor Minor, I hear a lot too about some of the things that we need to do within our residential facilities. We've got staff that are there. We've got dining services and folks that are there and really need that support. So we really like to take a hard look here as it relates to. We talked about accessibility, affordability. A lot of that's because of the Saluki commitment and the Saluki transfer. When we talk to parents about this, it's really hard for them to believe that we're going to be covering this particular portion for their summer walk. That's helped us increase the number, not only of new students, but our transfer students. So we're seeing that in our whole first time in college students, that number's increased fall and the spring. Our transfer student counts have increased in fall and the spring. So these numbers are really helping to begin to make SIU Carbondale affordable, accessible, which we're really excited about. Something that we push a lot. And here, Chancellor Meyer mentioned, we have pushed that up to about 103,000 by household income to really help the students. Next slide. I'll have Jerry, if you don't mind, if you want to talk a little bit about the slide here.
I can,
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, this one came from the School of Medicine. It just shows what we've done with tuition for the physician assistant program and medical school medical students over the past 5 years, comparing it to the consumer price index or inflation. As you see, over that period of time, the CPI went up 18.2%. PA tuition increases were 7%, and the tuition increases were 9.5%. So they were significantly below that inflation rate. That's really the point of that slide. There were a couple of others there.
There's another slide really talks about this.
Yeah, so I just had a couple other points. Yeah, so in recent years and into the near future, these are the things that are the most pressing issues for us related to medical student education. I will say that the clinical facilities are in good shape, and as you look at these bullet points here, it's more the didactic facilities and those who are involved in that from an employee and faculty standpoint that are there. So the ability to fund market competitive wages, we already heard about that from the nursing school today, but it cuts across everything else, even though not quite to the degree that it does for the nursing school. And then those facilities to remain competitive with other schools and the dramatically increasing costs of technology for education and everything else are the main systems. And then we did have one other slide, and I'll just talk about SIU School of Medicine tuition. Well, we're one of 34 community-based medical schools, so we usually compare our tuition to them. We're the lower quartile of tuition for all community-based medical schools. If you look at public community-based medical schools, we are the lead. So we're right in the middle for medical students. For the physician assistants, students for the master's degree, the initial degree, the SIU cost of degree is lower than all of the schools in the area, including St. Louis University, Western and Midwestern University, Chicago College of Osteopathic Medicine. When you look at the Doctor of Medical Science for PA school, we are the lowest in the nation, I think. So that's where we stand. Those are some of the factors.
Any questions for Chancellor Wayne or Dr. Cruz? Yes.
Dean Cruz, we have 1,300 applicants for PA slots. And I've never heard anybody ask about what it costs trying to get into medical school. Why are we not pushing the price higher than we are at?
Well, I'll come back up here so I can answer that. So one of the reasons is we're just trying to think about fairness in general. Our medical students graduate with a median debt of $220,000. And, they, when they finish their residency fellowship, they're usually 30 to 33 years old. They don't pay down their debt when they're in residency program. They might be able to not increase it, they're starting with a lot of debt. We just think that the tuition now is 41,000. Fees is 41,000. So we think that's a fair amount. Okay. We
we debated a lot, as a matter of fact, but we think we've set the needle where there's a good balance of pros.
Any other questions? Yes.
How graduate.
It's like, I'll get you. some information.
Any other questions? Yes. All right. The next, we will close the meeting to go into executive session. I move to close the meeting to the public for the purpose of considering pending probable or imminent proceedings against or on behalf of the board, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees, collective negotiating matters between the public body and its employees or their representatives, for deliberation concerning salary schedules for one or more classes of employees, and review of executive session minutes. Relevant sections of the Open Meetings Act statute that allow for closed sessions are 5 ILCS 120/2, paren C, paren 1, paren 2, paren 11, and paren 21. Do I have a second to the motion? The move and seconded, and Madam Secretary, please take the roll.
Curtis,
Yes.
Gilbert,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Hightower, Ludwig,
Yes.
Salver,
Yes.
Sharma,
Yes.
Simmons, Hedrick.
Yes.
Okay, we will now propose to begin our executive session.